What's up, guys? Happy Friday the 13th. To celebrate Friday the 13th, I thought it would be great to talk about one of my favorite horror movies of all time and one of the best horror movies of all time, Freddy vs. Jason. Fortunately, my Freddy vs. Jason shirt did not come in the mail, so I kind of wanted to do this with that shirt on, but unfortunately, that's just not how it works, so fuck it. I had to make this video because it's Friday the 13th, so I was like, I can't just wait around for the shirt. So we're just gonna talk about it. Now, this movie came out in 2003. So obviously I was a little kid and I have no idea what was going on. It took me until I was maybe like 7 or 8ish for me to finally watch and understand what's going on, because in 2003 I was 3 years old, so I didn't even know who Freddy and Jason were. But this is one of the best collabs of all time, because around this time Freddy and Jason were already horror icons. They had multiple movies and everybody loved most of them. There's some that weren't that great, but they were already horror icons, and putting them in a movie together was like mind-blowing. This was so big to the point where they even had like a press conference. I don't know if you watch the UFC, but in the UFC they have these conferences where they have the fighters talking and then they have these people interviewing them, and then sometimes it causes like a little fight or an argument. They did that for this movie and I thought it was hilarious. Honestly wish I met Robert Englund and Kurtzinger, because Ken Kurtzinger, even though he's not the original Jason, both of them are fantastic at what they've done in this movie, and I think everything about it was awesome. If you didn't know as well, they wanted to make this movie perfect. There were literally 18 different scripts made to try to make the perfect Freddy vs. Jason movie. Not gonna lie, the one that they chose, they hit it out of the park. Obviously there's some negatives to it, which I will get into. Movies have negatives, so even one of my favorite movies does. The huge ones, not necessarily. It's not to the point where it ruined the movie for me, so it's fine, but I do have to mention it. Overall, the concept was dope. So if you didn't know what Freddy vs. Jason was, basically Freddy was losing his powers because his victims and the people he thought was afraid of them, they stopped being afraid of them, so he's losing everything. So he brings out Jason to kind of bring them afraid again, to the point where he can get his powers back. But unfortunately it turns south, because now Jason is going on a killing spree and killing those victims, and now Freddy's like, fuck, now I gotta stop this, because that wasn't Freddy's plan. He just wanted everybody to be afraid of him once again. It's a pretty simple plot line, and it's a good one too. I think that was great. Imagine being a killer and you have to enlist another killer to try to help you out in order to get people to be afraid of you again. That's crazy. I don't know which script it was, but whatever one it was, this was the one that hit it out of the park. I'll say the fight scenes are incredible. There's like 3 rounds that they go through, and each round was awesome. I really did enjoy all of it. The action sequences was insane. Even a moment where Jason gets lit on fire in like kind of like a cornfield-ish with a whole bunch of teens drinking as usual, and he's just going through everybody. Apparently it wasn't CGI. He was literally on fire doing that scene. That's insane, and dedication. So that's already a W for this movie. That's incredible. It takes a lot of balls to put yourself on fire for numerous minutes. So cool. Now we gotta talk about the negatives. One of the big negatives was the characters. Literally the only people I cared for in this movie was Laurie, who's the main character, and Jason and Freddy. Literally the 3 main protagonists are the only good people in this movie. I didn't really like the acting for most of Laurie's friends or any of the other teens that's in this movie. Obviously they're there just to get killed, but at least have some sort of character. Most of it just felt so bland to me, at least. You can also put Kelly Rowland's character in here, but honestly it wasn't really that much, but hey, it's Kelly Rowland, so cool. Overall, most of the characters in this movie wasn't great. I didn't like them for most of it. I thought the dialogue was pretty cringy and nothing much happens for them. There is a scene with Laurie that I didn't like, but it's a deleted scene, and it's hilarious how cringy it was.
Freddy vs. Jason. Place your bets.
But like that was, thank God I wasn't in it. And that's a really cringy line. Kind of like the clip that happens in Texas Chainsaw.
Hey!
Oh, look who's back.
That's right. Do your thing, cuz.
Shit was fucking terrible. That was horrible. Next negative in this movie is not a true trait, meaning there is some things in here where it's not really the character's thing that actually happens to them or one of their situations that their weaknesses or anything like that. And there's only one that I didn't really like. So the first time Jason and Freddy actually get into it is in Freddy's dream sequence in his house, you know what I mean? And they're going at it 1v1, and it all stops because Jason is scared of water. Yes. Freddy hides behind water, which stops Jason from coming after him because he's afraid of water somehow, which is not a true character trait. Jason was not afraid of water. There's literally, I do not think there was any time where in any of his movies he was afraid of water, except in this movie somehow. They show an old sequence in a bad scene that I don't really like the way it's done. The scene, the way the camera's moving, and it's just such a weird thing, but these kids throw him in the water, and that's why he's afraid of the water. But I'm like, I guess that's how you can go about it, but that's not something Jason really is. I feel like that's kind of a weak thing to do. If it did anything else, like Freddy takes control of everything. You mean to tell me water is what takes Jason out for the first round of it? Another negative, like I just mentioned, was some of the camera scenes. I may have spelt that terribly wrong, but whatever. We're just gonna go with it. There are certain scenes in this movie where the camera work is just off, and I don't like the way it comes off. I mentioned the kids throwing Jason in the water. I don't like the way that sequence was going about. I just don't like the way it was being filmed. So when he's going on a killing spree with the teenagers, I felt like the camera, it could have just been one whole scene where he's just slashing everybody, but like the way it's angled and then the way the camera is shaking, it's just like, it's not good. The sequences, the way everything's going, it's not great. It's not. It could have been way better. I don't know why they chose that type of style, but sure. Looking at the positives of this movie, and the only positive is the rest of the movie. Really, other than all those negatives, the rest of the movie is fucking fantastic. Each round that Jason and Freddy go at it is absolutely amazing. I love the way they're chopping each other up, and all the sequences is awesome. Lori trying to get involved, I think, was also great as well. She did a great job as being the human in this thing who's trying to kind of defeat or get away from this whole situation. The way she just goes about everything in this movie, I think, was fine. Like, she even does it on purpose, goes to Freddy's world, goes into a dream sequence just to go after Freddy. So I think that is also pretty cool. The fact that she was willing to do that, awesome. Like, the way Freddy and Jason duke it out is really good, and nothing looked really CGI. Most of it looked like it was really done I don't know. It just looked really well done. It didn't feel like it was too much CGI in it. And shout out to Rob and Ken, because apparently they both were doing most of their stunts by themselves, and then they did have stunt doubles for certain scenes. But the fact that they were willing to do scenes themselves, they were on their Tom Cruise shit, which is great for them. I like when actors and actresses are willing to do their own stunts, because it just shows how dedicated they were into making this one of the best movies. So shout out to every single person, not even just in this movie. Shout out to everybody who does their own stunts. That is amazing. And one of the biggest things that I heard was during this movie, they were going to have a cameo sequence of Pinhead in this. Now, would have it made any sense? Probably not. I don't think it makes any sense, but it would have been dope to see him in this movie just because he's another horror icon. So I'm like, dude, imagine Pinhead in this. That would have been insane. Like, it would be so stupid, but it would be insane. But I do think they didn't have the license to Pinhead, so they couldn't do that. But I think it was one of the ideas. So it would have been cool, but it didn't really need him. But it just would have been dope to see another horror icon in this. Overall, Freddy vs. Jason felt like a Freddy vs. Jason movie. Because, you know, there's movies like Batman v Superman where they're not necessarily fighting each other for the most part. It's just like one time and then they team up. Just like it was Godzilla and King Kong, they went at each other, but then they had a bigger thing to deal with. So there's not really movies really where you have two people actually fighting, that the name of the title of the movie, they actually go at each other for most of the movie. I generally think that if you are new to horror movies, I suggest you watch maybe the first Nightmare on Elm Street and the first Friday the 13th of Jason, just to get used to the characters, and then you watch Freddy vs. Jason, because you're gonna be like, this is fucking awesome. This is a movie, I shit you not, once a year I watch this movie. Around Halloween time, I have a list of movies that I watch throughout October, and this is the first one I start off with at October 1st. I start off with Freddy vs. Jason. It's overall a fun time. I had never had any big issues with this movie. A lot of people wanted to see another one, and I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I feel like stuff like this you should just leave alone, because everybody's trying to do remakes nowadays because people have no creativity anymore. So they like to go back to original stuff and remake it, and then it just comes off very flat. And you don't need to do that for Freddy vs. Jason. That original film is perfect. No need for more. It's a waste of time. It really is. In conclusion, if you've never seen Freddy vs. Jason, I highly suggest you do, because you're going to be in love with this movie. So awesome to see movies like this happen, especially when it comes to horror movies. To see two big icons go one-on-one is awesome. Maybe they could do something with new ones, like maybe we see Art the Clown versus maybe Pennywise, or I don't know, something like that. I think that would be fine, but nothing will ever touch Freddy vs. Jason. What do you guys think of Freddy vs. Jason? Have you ever watched it? If you did, put in comments below. Let me know how you feel about everything. And also make sure you like and subscribe, because the more you do that, the more we're in the YouTube algorithm, and we want to make this the biggest horror channel in YouTube, or on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Love you guys.